Good morning, everyone. Today is a class on parasympathetic and the sympathetic ganglion. First, let's begin with the parasympathetic ganglion. There are four parasympathetic ganglions located in head and neck: ciliary, otic, pterygopalatine, and submandibular ganglion. They receive their fibers, means preganglionic fibers, from oculomotor, third cranial nerve, seventh cranial nerve, that is facial, glossopharyngeal nerve from ninth, that is ninth cranial nerve, and vagus also sends some preganglionic parasympathetic fibers, but they innervate the structures from thorax and abdomen. Most ganglia are associated with the sensory and the sympathetic nerves also, but these fibers do not synapse in the ganglia. They just pass through the ganglia. Now let's begin with the submandibular ganglion first. The submandibular ganglion is this small ganglion, right? It is a parasympathetic ganglion and it is structurally related to the lingual nerve by its two root. One is anterior root, right? Uh, this is your submandibular ganglion, the small ganglion, right? And it is attached to a lingual nerve. This is your lingual nerve. Lingual nerve is a branch of mandibular nerve and it is attached structurally to it by two roots. One is the anterior root and another is the posterior root. Let's get a little brief of this diagram. This is your brainstem, right? Brainstem has three parts: the midbrain, pons, and the medulla region, right? And this is a section of temporal bone. Above to it, this is bone I am representing, and in this bone there is a foramen called as internal acoustic meatus, and above to it there is a posterior cranial fossa. Understood? And this is the TS sagittal section of middle ear, in which you can see this is your facial nerve, seventh cranial nerve, and this pink section, pink lined up section, is a uh, middle ear uh, posterior wall, right? So the features which are more visible over this is the stapes, the promontory, right? Stapedius muscle all over it. And this is a section of a tongue. Again, it's a sagittal section of a tongue. This is tongue. This is a section of a mandible, tooth, hide bone, and the muscles present which are related to this region, right? And this orange is a submandibular gland. Bigger one is submandibular gland, superficial part, deep part, and sublingual gland. So let's begin with the ganglion. So ganglion is structurally related with the lingual nerve and functionally it is related with the facial nerve. Alright, the ganglion represents two fibers, preganglionic and the postganglionic fibers. The preganglion, let's trace the preganglionic fibers first, right? So the fibers begin from the functional component, functional nucleus of the facial nerve, one of the facial nucleus, which is called superior salivatory nucleus. This red dot is superior salivatory nucleus. The fibers enter through a facial nerve, right? And facial nerve with a eighth cranial nerve enters through an internal acoustic meatus into the middle ear. This is the horizontal part of the facial nerve and this is the vertical part. The facial nerve is exiting out through the cranial cavity, via a foramen called stylomastoid foramen, right? And divides into two and then supplies your posterior auricular, gives posterior auricular branch, posterior belly of digastric, and further divides into five branches, right? Which we already know: temporal, zygomatic, buccal, marginal, mandibular, and the cervical. So divides into two. Before coming out through the stylomastoid foramen, it gives one branch which is called chorda tympani. This is the chorda tympani branch which passes behind the tympanic membrane, right? And comes out through the middle ear via a via fissure called petrotympanic fissure. After coming out through the petrotympanic fissure, it joins the it joins the nerve fibers of lingual nerve, right? So chorda tympani joins the fibers of lingual nerve, and through the lingual nerve, fibers from the superior salivatory nucleus through the posterior root enters into this black dot, that is your submandibular ganglion. Now from this ganglion, the postganglionic fibers arises. These are the postganglionic fibers, these black dotted lines, supplying the submandibular gland, both deep part and the superficial gland. So if you see, the submandibular ganglion is resting over this muscle called as hyoglossus, right? Resting over the hyoglossus. Now some fibers goes back into the lingual nerve through anterior root, and while traveling to the in the lingual nerve, they supply the sublingual gland. And finally, from the chorda tympani, the fibers run and enters into the anterior two-third. So the lingual and the chorda tympani, one carries the taste sensation, another carries the sensory sensation of the anterior two-third of the tongue, right? So this is about the parasympathetic root, means motor root. Now what about the sympathetic root? Now, if you notice, just behind the hyoglossus is your facial artery. Facial artery is a branch of, this goes definitely upwards. Facial artery is a branch of external carotid artery, right? Now, a sympathetic plexus is surrounding the facial artery, right? So from where these plexus of the sympathetic fibers are coming? They are coming from a ganglion. So actually there are postganglionic fibers. From the ganglion is called superior cervical ganglion. The postganglionic fibers are arising and forming a plexus around the facial nerve. And from this plexus, the fibers goes to the submandibular ganglion, and then from the submandibular ganglion to the submandibular gland. Understood? Now, if you ask me that the ganglion of the sympathetic trunk is the superior cervical ganglion. Now, from where the preganglionic fibers are arising? The preganglionic fibers are arising from the lateral horn of the spinal cord, especially the thoracic part. Thoracic part has one lateral horn also. From there the sympathetic fibers are arising. I hope understood. And that's it about the submandibular ganglion. Let's see the next ganglion. Otic ganglion. This black dot is your otic ganglion. This black dot is your otic ganglion. Otic ganglion is oval in shape and 2 to 3 mm in size, and it is situated in infratemporal fossa. Just have a look of the diagram. This is your orbit, nasal bone, maxilla, and this is your zygomatic bone. The zygomatic arch has been broken. This is the posterior part of zygomatic bone, and this is your external carotid acoustic meatus. In front of the meatus and below the arch, this is your parotid gland. Understood? Above, this is your brain stem, midbrain, pons, and medulla. Behind is the cerebellum. Now let's talk about the otic ganglion. Otic ganglion is structurally related to the mandibular nerve. What comes out from the foramen ovale? This is foramen ovale, right? Behind the pterygoid plate is your foramen ovale. What comes out is the mandibular nerve, right? So it is structurally related to the mandibular nerve, but functionally it is related to the glossopharyngeal nerve, which is your ninth cranial nerve. Understood? Now it has two connections, the motor parasympathetic and the sympathetic root. It has two roots, sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So let's trace first the sympathetic root, right? From here, preganglionic fibers, the fibers preganglionic, right? So the fibers, preganglionic fibers, arises from a inferior salivatory nucleus. Just above to it is the superior salivatory nucleus. So the fibers arises from the inferior salivatory nucleus and they enter into a glossopharyngeal nerve. All the fibers forms the glossopharyngeal nerve, all the functional components of the nerve, right? The fibers goes into the superior bulb and the inferior bulb. From the inferior bulb, there is an origin of a branch called as tympanic branch, right? From the tympanic branch goes into the middle ear. From the floor of the middle ear, from the floor of the middle ear, uh, from the floor of the middle ear, it enters into the uh, middle ear and over the promontory, which I have shown you in the last diagram. Over the promontory, there is a formation of a plexus, and this plexus is called as tympanic plexus. Tympanic plexus, okay? Tympanic branch is a branch of glossopharyngeal nerve and it forms over the promontory a tympanic plexus. And then from the plexus there is an origin of a nerve called lesser petrosal nerve. right? And the lesser petrosal nerve goes back to the cranial cavity, right, from the interior surface of the petrous part of temporal bone. On the interior surface part of the temporal bone, petrous part of temporal bone, there are two foramens, greater petrosal foramen and the lesser petrosal. So it comes out through the lesser petrosal foramen, and then it comes out again from the cranial cavity via foramen ovale. If you remember the uh, contents of foramen ovale, one is the mandibular nerve and the next is your lesser petrosal nerve. Right, so the lesser petrosal nerve leaves comes out through the foramen ovale and joins the otic ganglion as a preganglionic fiber. All right, so I've shown here the foramen ovale. Above is your trigeminal ganglion, from where the ophthalmic, maxillary, and the third nerve is the mandibular nerve, which is coming out through the foramen ovale. Even the lesser petrosal nerve is coming out, and over the mandibular nerve is your otic ganglion, and the nerve, the branch from this lesser petrosal fibers, goes into the otic ganglion as a preganglionic fibers. The fibers synapse here, and there is an origin of a postganglionic fiber. I hope you can appreciate this nerve here. Now let's trace it here. The postganglionic fibers arises as a auriculotemporal nerve. They go into the auriculotemporal nerve, right? And the from the auriculotemporal nerve, they passes and gives a parasympathetic supply to parotid gland. I hope you understood this tract, right? And then above the external acoustic meatus, the auriculotemporal leaves and goes above. Now, what about the sympathetic root? The sympathetic root is derived from a plexus around the middle meningeal artery. Around a middle meningeal artery. Now, where middle meningeal artery is a branch of maxillary artery. So, this is your maxillary artery, right? First part of maxillary artery gives origin to your middle meningeal artery, and over the middle meningeal artery there are the postganglionic fibers of the sympathetic trunk. Now, from where this postganglionic fibers are arising? Again, the fibers are arising from the superior cervical ganglion, right? And superior cervical ganglion receiving the preganglionic fibers from where? Of course, from the lateral horn of the spinal cord. So the fibers surrounding the middle meningeal artery, that is the postganglionic fibers which is surrounding the middle meningeal artery, this plexus gives the sympathetic root to the otic ganglion, right? Now few fibers also passes through the otic ganglion is the fibers of the nerve which is from the mandibular nerve arising from the trunk, which is going through, only passing, not relaying, right? That is the branch to middle pterygoid, and that passes through and gives supplies to tensor tympani and tensor veli palatini. I hope this you understood this. In total, the branches of the otic ganglion, the first is it is supplying the postganglionic parasympathetic fibers to your parotid gland via auriculotemporal nerve. So it is giving the secretomotor fibers, right? Now postganglionic sympathetic fibers, they pass through the ganglion without interruption, mind you, right? Joins the auriculotemporal nerve and provide the vasomotor supply to the parotid gland. The third are the fibers which are passing, right, is the nerve to medial pterygoid. They pass through without relay and supply the tensor veli palatini and tensor tympani, right? And otic ganglion is connected to cauda tympani nerve also and nerve to pterygoid canal. Alright, this actually provides an alternate route of taste pathway to the anterior two-third of the tongue, but that is not so important. The three, only the major three is important. One is parasympathetic fibers, secretomotor fibers to the parotid, one is the vasomotor fibers to the parotid, and the one is the medial pterygoid fibers which are passing through that otic ganglion without relay. Let's move to the next ganglion. The third ganglion is the ciliary ganglion. This is your ciliary ganglion. I hope you can appreciate. Let's see, just figure out the diagram first. This is your eyeball. The eyeball is present in the orbit, right? And this is your nasal bone. This is your maxillary bone, right? Above is your frontal bone. Behind is your lesser wing of sphenoid, right? So this is your a section of your orbit. And over the eyeball you can appreciate some muscles attachment because we are seeing from the lateral side. So this first muscle is the lateral rectus, Above is your superior rectus, just below to it is superior oblique, this is your inferior oblique, and down below is your inferior rectus. This is your LPS, levator palpebrae superioris. Now the nerves related, this is your frontal, okay, frontal nerve. Just below to it here is your nasociliary. Understood? This is your nasociliary. Really sorry, I have used here is green color just to represent the oculomotor nerve. Please do remember this is your oculomotor nerve, right? Okay. Now, nasociliary and the frontal and the lacrimal, of course, these are the three branches which are arising from the ophthalmic nerve, right? And ophthalmic nerve is a branch of trigeminal ganglion, right? It is arising from the trigeminal ganglion. So, ciliary ganglion here, this is present here, right? It is actually present between the optic nerve. From pencil, I have drawn the optic nerve, right? This is the optic nerve, and between the lateral rectus muscle. The ciliary ganglion is very small, pinhead size of ganglion, which is present between the optic nerve and the lateral rectus muscle. Understood? Now, if we talk about structurally it is related with the nasociliary nerve. Structurally, it is related to the branch of nasociliary nerve, a branch which is arising from the nasociliary. So, the nasociliary is a branch of ophthalmic, and ophthalmic is a branch of trigeminal, right? So, it is structurally related with fifth cranial nerve. Okay. What about the functional relation? It is functionally related to third cranial nerve, that is oculomotor nerve, right? Now, oculomotor nerve, this nasociliary branch, they all enter into the orbit via superior orbital fissure. They enter the orbit via superior orbital fissure, right? And the connections of the ciliary ganglion are, of course, the motor, which is parasympathetic, then sensory, and the sympathetic fibers. Let's begin with the motor. First with the parasympathetic one. The parasympathetic is derived from the inferior oblique, right? The muscle to inferior oblique. This is the inferior oblique muscle, right? If I trace above, these are the postganglionic fibers. If you say from where the preganglionic fibers are arising, actually the preganglionic fibers travel in an oculomotor nerve and they arise from a oculomotor nerve complex. There is around 6 nucleuses which are present in oculomotor from where the oculomotor nerve is arising. So one of the nucleus is called Edinger-Westphal nucleus. Edinger and Westphal nucleus, right? So the preganglionic fibers arises from Edinger and Westphal nucleus, and they travel in an oculomotor nerve, right? They travel in an oculomotor nerve, and from the oculomotor nerve, actually we know that oculomotor nerve has two branches, the upper and the lower. So from the lower band, from the lower branch oculomotor nerve से जो lower branch आ रही है, the nerve arises which is going to the inferior oblique, which is going to the inferior oblique, right? From that inferior oblique, the branch which is going towards the inferior oblique gives a twig to a ciliary ganglion. All right. So functionally, it is related to oculomotor nerve. I hope this is understood, right? Now, from the ciliary, from the ciliary ganglion, the postganglionic fibers arises. ये क्या थे? These are all are preganglionic. So from the ciliary ganglion, the postganglionic fibers arises, and they are 5 to 6 in number. Those are called as short ciliary branches. The short ciliary branches pierces the sclera and enters into the eyeball between the choroid and the sclera, and further divide into the 15 to 20 further branches, right? And these branches goes forward towards the iris, and in the iris there are two muscles, the sphincter pupillae and the ciliaris muscle. So they supply the sphincter pupillae and the ciliaris muscle. Understood? Okay, now what about the sensory root? Means the sensation of any pain, touch, thermal sensation of the eyeball is concerned with your sensory supply, and that is from the ophthalmic, especially the nasociliary. So the sensations from the eyeball, all kind of sensations, pain, touch, temperature, pressure, are carried via nasociliary, and from the nasociliary because it is the ciliary ganglion is attached structurally to the nasociliary branch, the nerve fibers enter to the ciliary ganglion, right? So if in short, all the sensory fibers from the eyeball passes through the ciliary ganglion without interruption, right? Without interruption. Understood? Now, what about the sympathetic root? The sympathetic root is derived from a branch of internal carotid artery, right? This is internal carotid artery, and from here the postganglionic fibers form the sympathetic chain, forms a plexus around this internal carotid artery and forms a carotid plexus. A branch from a carotid plexus arises, means the postganglionic fibers from the plexus arises and goes into the ciliary ganglion. All right, and of course the preganglion fibers and the ganglion from these postganglion fibers are arising is the superior cervical ganglion, and of course the superior cervical ganglion receiving the preganglionic fibers from the lateral horn present on the spinal cord. All right, so these sympathetic route also passes uninterrupted through the ciliary ganglion, all right, through via short ciliary nerves, and supply the blood vessels of the eyeball and also the dilator pupillary. Okay, it also supplies the dilator pupillary. Mind you, the parasympathetic, the motor route, never supplies the dilator. It only supplies the constrictor pupillary and the ciliaris. Okay, now the branches are be done, right? And all this is all about the ciliary ganglion. Now let's pterygopalatine ganglion is the largest peripheral ganglion. This is the pterygopalatine ganglion. Just above to it, just for the representation, this is the eyeball, this is the maxillary area, upper alveolar arch, right? This is the nasal area. These are the pterygoid plates, right? Lateral pterygoid plate, posterior surface of maxilla, and this is the pterygo maxillary fissure, and deep to it is the pterygopalatine fossa, right? And here I have tried to represent you with the mandibular nerve is your otic ganglion. So this is your ciliary ganglion, this is your otic ganglion, and the branch arise from the mandibular nerve is a lingual which will go like this, and usse kya hang karega is your submandibular ganglion. So let's begin with the pterygopalatine ganglion. It is the biggest ganglion, parasympathetic ganglion, and it is present in the deep part, that is in the pterygopalatine fossa. Structurally, it is related to, definitely, which nerve is this? Arising from the trigeminal ganglion is your maxillary nerve, because the content of pterygopalatine fossa is your maxillary nerve, and this through this maxillary nerve via two roots this ganglion is hanging. And functionally, if you ask me, the functionally it is related to which nerve? Is with your facial nerve. Functionally it is related with your facial nerve, right? So this is the preganglionic root, and from here is the postganglionic root. Let's first see the parasympathetic motor root, right? Preganglionic and the postganglionic fibers. Now, from the brainstem, this is brainstem, right? There is a lacrimetry nucleus present in the brainstem. From there, the fiber arises, and all the fibers from the functional component forms a facial nerve. The fibers travels into the facial nerve. This is the genu part of the facial nerve, right? Before going into the before right, it passes through the internal costic meatus, and before going properly into the middle ear, right, in the roof of the middle ear there is a formation of this genu here, and from the genu a branch arises that is called greater petrosal nerve. And from the greater actually the fibers are passing first through the nervous intermedius, from the lacrimetry nucleus to the nervous intermedius. Nervous intermedius is actually a sensory, small sensory branch of facial nerve, sensory root of facial nerve, right? So from the lacrimetry nucleus to the nervous intermedius, and from the genu to the greater petrosal nerve, and from the greater petrosal nerve, from the posterior surface, posterior wall of the pterygopalatine fossa, there is a foramen which is called pterygoid canal, and through the pterygoid canal a nerve comes and enters into the fossa is called nerve of pterygoid canal, and the nerve of pterygoid canal finally reaches to the pterygopalatine ganglion. So lacrimetry nucleus, nervous intermedius, then greater petrosal nerve to pterygoid canal, and fiber directly reaches to the pterygopalatine ganglion for relay. Okay, for relay. All postganglionic fibers preganglion fibers relay in the ganglion. Now the postganglionic fibers, which are secretomotor fibers, takes origin, right, and supplies the lacrimal gland, via zygomaticotemporal. Zygomaticotemporal joins this lacrimal nerve and finally supplies the secretomotor fibers to lacrimal gland. And to what else? The nasal, right? The nasal fibers. Understood? Via the branches of the maxillary nerve, the fibers of this otic ganglion, the postganglionic fibers reaches to the area, right? Then they go to the nose, understood? And the palatine gland. Okay. Now the sympathetic root. The sympathetic root arises from the deep petrosal nerve. Deep, as I have told you, here is the internal carotid artery, right? The plexus around the internal carotid, right, gives a postganglionic sympathetic fibers to the pterygopalatine ganglion, right? And the ganglion from these postganglionic fibers arising is your superior cervical ganglion, and the superior cervical ganglion receiving the preganglionic fibers from the lateral horn of the spinal cord. So the from the carotid plexus, the fibers arises, enters into the deep petrosal nerve, right, and passes through the ganglion without interruption and supply the vasomotor nerve supply to mucous membrane of nose, palate, and nasopharynx, right? Nasopharynx backside. Now sensory root, right? The sensory root passes through the ganglion again without interruption, and the sensory root is coming through the maxillary nerve from which it is hanging, right? So the ganglion provides four sets. The ganglion provides four sets of the branches. First is the orbital branch, which enters through the inferior orbital fissure, right, and supplies the periosteum of orbitalis muscle, mucous membraneous sphenoid, and posterior ethmoidal sinus. Then next is the palatine branch, gives greater and the lesser palatine branches, right, जो नीचे से communicate करेगा यहाँ से एपेक्स ऊपर से फोसा के ऊपर से जाएगा inferior orbital nerve, फोसा के नीचे से आएगी greater palatine and the lesser palatine nerves, right, which supply the hard palate up to the incisive fossa and also gives supplies to the mucous membrane of the hard palate, right, and the adjoining area. And the lesser palatine nerves runs downwards through the greater palatine canal and appears through the lesser palatine foramen and it supplies the mucous membrane of soft palate, palatine tonsils. Okay, some are the nasal branches. These are the nasal branches. Enters the nasal cavity through a sphenopalatine. I hope you remember the sphenopalatine foramen. It is on the medial wall of the fossa. From there the branches arises and supplies the nasal cavity, right? Nasal branches, right, through the sphenopalatine. Okay. And while traveling to the sphenopalatine, going towards the nose, they give few branches. One is the posterior superior alveolar arch, right? Posterior superior lateral nasal, sorry, I'm really sorry, posterior superior lateral nasal branch and posterior superior medial nasal branch. And finally, in the end is the pharyngeal branch. I hope you understood this ganglion. That is all about the parasympathetic ganglion.